Hey Virginia is sponsored in part by
Everence Financial is grateful to serve this community. As a faith-rooted financial services organization, we're dedicated to helping members grow more confident futures with their values in mind. A community that's doing better together.
Hey Virginia, what's going on? I'm Kate Martin, your guide to this evening's festivities. We proudly travel the highways and byways of the Shenandoah Valley in search of the people, places, and things that are shaping the cultural landscape in which we live. This month, our Sound Showcase returns as we spotlight a local hip-hop artist making a name for himself right here in the Shenandoah Valley. The regional roller derby teams will soon be kicking off a brand new action-packed season. So, we caught up with the Rocktown Rollers to discuss the fast-paced and full-contact sport of roller derby. And we feature a local improv comedy troupe that has audiences rolling in the aisles. All this plus much more straight ahead on this episode of Hey Virginia.
Coming home, there's a place where I can come home, where the foothills roll and the people are so warm. Hey, Virginia,
Improvisational comedy is a form of live theater in which the plot, characters, and dialogue of a game, scene, or story are made up in the moment. Taking cues from the audience, cast members let the scene unfold without any script or any planning. The popularity of comedy improv is on the rise, so we sent a camera crew to feature a local improv group that is truly making it up as they go along.
Straight through once, and then we're going to do it conducted. Cool? Okay. And let's be impressive with conducted. Let's just really go for it and have fun with it. Showing up here tonight. Give it up for my actors as they take the stage. My name is Webster, and I'm going to be your host tonight, and this is my beautiful crew. Give them a little love. Don't they look great? We had a packed crowd here at the Omni. It was a dinner theater. There were 5 different types of meals out there. Each one looked amazing. I asked around the crowd. They loved it. The place was packed out. It was our first show, Comedy at the Omni. It was our first show. We had 9 actors on the stage, and we killed it. Every single scene went off great. I was relieved that it went so well. I have so much talent in my troupe. They are sparkling, and they're fun, and they're funny, and they're dynamic, and they're cool, and they're beautiful. I just dig it. And tonight, I had planned 13 different improv games. I had trivia in there. I had things interspersed, tiny little games, and every single bit of it went off without a hitch. So I'm feeling great right now. What I do is improv comedy. I started with Second City back in the early 90s. I did 1,500 sold-out shows in a row in Atlanta, and the way the show works is I have an entire troupe trained to do many different improv games. Every single game is based on a certain method where the actors actually have to project and believe themselves in the situation. They actually get emotional in the situation, like great acting, hopefully good acting every single time. And then we play games where we change, based on the audience suggestion, we change the actors' emotions, we might change their dialects, we might reverse forward them, we might have them do the scene again where the audience gets to direct them.
Then we spoke in a Bushman kind of way. Come on, open the door. Then he ended with a growling sound of a pirate.
Yeah! I'm plundering the booty that's been in this truck. Open the door, mother, ye old scoundrel!
And everything is based on the audience suggestions. Nothing is pre-planned, no dialogue, no jokes. And so we have to know how to come together, and we have to have a method for coming together in our scene work and in our comedy so that it makes sense and the audience buys into it. And tonight I was really proud of my actors because every single one of them followed the method of what it's like to project to that reality, really feel and have something to pursue when they're looking at their partners. And that's what sucks the audience in. They loved it.
Strap on those helmets and lace up your skates. It's time to hit the track with the hard-hitting ladies from Harrisonburg's own Rocktown Rollers. Their new season kicks off in March, so what better time to catch up with the team and find out more about the rock'em sock'em sport of roller derby.
So my real name is Eve Ferguson and my derby name is Bad Acid. It's always scary trying something new, but I had a little bit of experience skiing, so I kind of understood the skate motion. But I think the biggest draw for me was just being with a big group of strong women and having something to do extracurricular outside of my studies.
You know, when I was younger, I really loved skating. I was a rink rat. I was there all the time. And so when I got a little older and had kind of gotten out of it, I came to this rink here at Funky's, and the ladies told me that there was a roller derby team in town. I came to the next home bout, fell in love, and I was at the very next practice. Actually, for me, the hardest part is truthfully, like just the balance of time. I have a family and a young child and a demanding work. So for me, I love roller derby so much, I try to make it work.
I would say since it is kind of a grassroots or underground sport, you notice a lot of, even teams outside of Harrisonburg's team, there's just a community that if you went to another city, you'd be invited into another team's family, you'd get to skate with them. Our drive is just to improve personally, and so it's really competitive, but at the same time, it's really look at what you can do now and just try and be better yourself. So I really appreciate that.
It's just so inspiring to see these women just build each other up and be able to just be in their own element. This is our team, we're family. We see each other twice a week. And when we know it's practice, like I've gotten hit in the face every now and then, and it's not good, but I forgive and forget because I know I've accidentally hit people in the face. I've accidentally done bad penalties. It's just one of those family bonds. We go through really rigorous boot camp screening, if you will, so that we teach people how to fall safely and how to hit safely so that you're making sure the people you play against are safe and you yourself are safe. And so just practicing that on a daily basis gives me enough confidence that if I do fall, if I do slam into someone, I'm not going to hit anywhere vital and break any bones. It still could happen.
Yes, I have been injured. I actually tore my ACL a few seasons ago, and it was a very challenging recovery, but everybody stayed in support of me, and I was able to come here and still participate even though I wasn't physically able to skate. So of course that risk is out there, and not everybody gets hurt, but I can say from my experience, obviously it can happen.
I feel like the Rocktown Rollers have a really good relationship with the city of Harrisonburg. Obviously, I've only been on this team for a year, but I see we'll go out, people will know us, or Us getting sponsored by Three Notch, the brewery, we have a connection. We volunteer at quite a few different charities.
We have found that communities love their roller derby teams. Roller derby is not just about us being out there on the track and hitting each other around. It's really about more than that. It's about supporting the communities that we're in and vice versa, those communities giving back to us as well.
It's just wonderful to see all these women just build each other up and just knock them down and be able to pick them right back up, right? So like we hit them, knock them down, and get right back up.
Our next story takes us to Charlottesville's Monolith Studios, where they have taken the art of custom knife making to the next level, mixing old school craftsmanship and cutting edge precision. Zach Worrell and his team of designers pride themselves on creating custom knives that are just a cut above.
Most of the things that you'll see that we craft in our shop are made with a story or a sense of history or some kind of past that is involved in there. I'm Zach Worrell, Creative Director of Monolith Studio Knives here in Charlottesville, Virginia. A kitchen knife is not just a knife you pick up and that's it. It's much more of a personal expression and an extension of the people using it. And those people who really know and are working in a kitchen, they understand what they need. That is something that cannot just be picked up out of a box. Our knives are in some way like small sculptures. I mean, they are art, they are pieces of art, but we prefer them not to be put on a shelf, but see them be used. Almost all of my material came off of our property or other properties around. I would scavenge logs. If a storm happened, I'd take my tractor and my trailer and I'd go out with chainsaws and I'd look for logs. And along the way, I came across some really interesting pieces. And being here in Charlottesville, which is Thomas Jefferson's home, there's just a lot of history here. You can run into storied wood. Somebody will tell you some story about this tree in their yard. This area we're in literally is kind of saturated in American history and I don't know if it's lore, but our property is part of the Meriwether Lewis family tract of land that was granted to them from the king. The land is really old. There's old logging trails that are like, 150, 200 years old almost. Along the way, I've kind of amassed this collection, and this is actually some Osage orange that was actually brought back from Lewis's travel on the great exploration he did with Clark. And he brought back these 3 trees, and one of them is planted at Monticello, and one of them is planted at his home, which is right down the street. And the third one happened to be planted at our home, which was his niece's house. Some of the work we try to do is to try and convey that story or share a story or allow people to feel connected to their own past. And we do that through the materials that we use. In our world of making our knives, when we have customers and those customers come to us, most of the time they come into our shop environment and they're blown away. We take that opportunity to show them as much of that as we can and share with them as much of our process. It's that one-on-one experience that makes what we do unique. In every knife that we make, the experience of that relationship and culture exists. It's instilled through the process of making it. I mean, we get to eat our cake and have it too in a certain way. And I don't think there are a lot of people that get to do what we're doing.
This month, our Virginia Sound Showcase returns, featuring hip-hop artist Lou Colleran, perhaps known to many as Grayling Sky. Luke has been instrumental in helping to create a thriving hip-hop scene right here in the Shenandoah Valley. By mixing elements of jazz and blues with cutting-edge hip-hop beats, Grayling Sky and DJ Ryan Clark create a musical soundscape that is taking the region by storm. We recently caught up with Grayling Sky to discuss his music and inspiration.
Luke Holleran, I go by Grayling Sky when I'm performing. Yeah, a little about me. I'm 27, was born in Arkansas, grew up in Harrisonburg, homeschooled for a while. But my mom made a deal with me if I wanted a drum set, I had to play piano for 5 years, and after 7 years I could get a guitar, or they would get me a guitar. So that's what I did, and I started playing piano, was doing that every day, doing recitals, got to write some of my own music, which was really awesome, but just learned a lot about music theory and just general structure. And then, I grew up in the church as well, so there's always like a certain attachment to what a room full of people singing together sounds like.
It's hard to find time to write these days. Little things got me tight these days, on sight these days. Feel like everybody wanna bite these days, should be hype these days. They want a piece of our light these days, they don't like these days. So tell them meet me in the sky.
I love the blues, so I like to keep things simple, I like to keep things internal, I like to talk about struggle. Like you kind of touch on these internal conflicts, you know, and that's like the idea, the spark that you grab onto when you like create off of that. But it has to start in myself mostly. Yeah, that's like the belief that art just helps the society go forwards, and like philosophically, creatively, you know, especially now with where technology is, creativity is so tied into that. And I've always just felt so much freedom from music and singing and vocals and words and stories. So yeah, the freestyling has always helped me in like a therapy type way, because I've always been able to express these like inner thoughts, even if they're just by myself in a car when I'm at a stoplight, you know, but being able to just do that over and over and over again for years about my life experience, you know, like laughing about like some dude I beat in basketball, or this girl I like, or just some funny stuff I saw at school that day, or even to like dark stuff just about I don't know what's going on in my life, you know, and I'm having all these moments by myself in a car on a freestyle over something that I'll never even remember, you know, let alone it's not recorded. But there is something very therapeutic about just that release, letting it go, let the ideas come and go, you know?
Catch the Holy Ghost when I see these snakes. You do everything the TV say. We can see it in your stature. Hey Ryan, look, another rapper. I think they falling from the rafters. I'm feeling like a raptor. I think Papa was a panther.
Well, before I met Ryan Clark, it was, I was just surfing the internet, you know, beats off of YouTube, or I would download a ton of beat tapes off of datpiff.com. He sits down in his basement with synthesizers everywhere and records stacked up the walls, and his MPC and his computer. It's like a mothership, you know, and it's like he knows how those things work. He lives in like all those machines. So like being able to go from me, who likes just running around wild, and like I have the blues philosophy where I can run in and just like, I just want to put soul on a record real quick, and he's been being my engineer, my producer, you know, like he's co-written songs, he's written songs, and then I basically like, I won't say stole them, he's given them to me. Create a wall of sound with somebody, create like a vibe and texture in a room like with another person is like, it's wild. You just learn a lot about like communication, and you benefit so much, because if I'm just living in my world, there's so many ideas that I don't have, you know, that he has, that like, I don't know, the more the merrier, man.
If they could, they wouldn't let us in love. They just want to say they better than us. So come and get your medicine, love. Come and get your medicine, love.
The hip hop community itself in Harrisonburg is massively creative and just incredibly supportive in their way and competitive, man. We're all pushing each other and we're creating enough of an ecosystem that it's like we're all giving ourselves space to grow individually, and it's just pushing this thing. So it's like, it's been a long time coming, but the past year and a half have been an incredible blessing.
For more information on Grayling Sky, like him on Facebook or go to littlevagabond.org. What if you could take your backyard and shrink it down small? Like really small. Landscape in Miniatures, the only plant shop in the country that offers everything in one place, from plants in miniature size, tiny birdhouses and fairy gardens, to resin bird baths and faux moss. You can either design a special gift or just get your hands dirty for your own miniature landscapes.
I started about 7 years ago now. I love miniatures and I love plants, and I was making tiny little gardens all over my house. I'd prune up a rose bush and hang a little tire swing and do fun little things like that. Decided I needed a job at one point, and my friend said, "You should do this for a business." And I said, "Nope, never work. It's too much fun. You can't do that, something you like that much." I read online somewhere that if you do what you love, you never have to worry about Monday. And it's true, I don't dread Mondays. I started in this because I liked the idea of taking your backyard and shrinking it down. The interest is there. People come in and little kids come in and they want to do a little fairy garden and put a fairy in it. And we've got everything you need to do that too. So we kind of dabble in a little bit of everything. So we're going to work on this little garden today, and oftentimes it's overwhelming when people come in. They're like, "I don't know where to start. There's too much stuff in here. Too many things to choose from, too many choices, too many directions you can go in." And so I usually say start with one thing that matters most to you, either a specific piece of furniture or a specific tree or a specific pot. And this is the pot I'm going to use today, so that's what I'm starting with. But what I also want to use is this tree. I like the way it slopes and hangs, and so because that's my biggest thing I'm working with, I'm going to start with that first and find him a home in this pot. And then I've got this cute little ivy. And the cool thing about him, this is a little duck's foot ivy, and I'm going to have him crawling up the handle. And then when we're done, we'll cover we've lined it with plastic, and then we put pebbles and charcoal. So if it does get overwatered, it has the water has somewhere to go. It's kind of where I'm starting with. This is the bench I picked because I like the look of it with this rustic basket garden. You could do fancy, you could do the same idea and use like white wicker looking, and it would change the whole feel of the garden. So we'll probably switch that out at the very end so you can see how you can change it up. I've got a variegated azalea here that I'm gonna stick in the back because it's nice and full. It's got a nice chartreuse look to it. And we're going to incorporate the little Tokyo Sunseedum. This one has a free clover in it, right here. So if you plant miniature plants, you get miniature weeds. Not true at all. But people are always very excited when we tell them that briefly. Here is the color. I'm going to wait to add him because he's a little bit fragile. So I know I'm going to incorporate that, but I'm going to wait till the end. I love rock. It's like landscape rock. And this one just looks like a giant boulder. It's cool too because you can make a whole garden in just a few minutes, maybe an afternoon, depending on how fast you want to go. Tell all your friends and relatives that you moved all your own boulders. You didn't need to call help in or anything, and they don't have to know that the boulder is 3 inches. You can just be impressive. So that's always helpful. Here is some little stepping stones, and I've glued nails on them so they stay. And I'm just going to kind of make a path. The bigger ones, like where your feet would go, and then it's going to kind of curve and go downhill just a little bit. So I'm pushing each one in a little further. So we're going to add a little tiny bird bath. We're going with the frog theme. So he's sitting in water. It's resin water. It's got a nice rustic look to that bird bath too. And everybody has a different way of making them. Some people will plan ahead and start, literally lay everything out where they want it. And there's no right or wrong. It's whatever works best for you. I don't plan because this is the way I work best, but that's because I can see it in miniature. Like I can picture what it's gonna look like as I'm going along.
Landscapes in Miniature is located at the Dayton Farmers Market and online on Facebook. Miniature landscaping classes are available throughout the year at various locations. Well, that brings us to the close of another episode of Hey Virginia. If you like what you see, check out our Facebook page and hit that like button. Hey Virginia was brought to you by WVPT Public Media. If you are a believer in what we do here at WVPT, please visit WVPT.net and let your voice be heard by contributing to your community public media station. Your support is needed now more than ever. We are your community, your story, your station, WVPT. We will see you next time right here on Hey Virginia. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kate Martin.
Hey Virginia was sponsored in part by
Everence Financial is grateful to serve this community. As a faith-rooted financial services organization, we're dedicated to helping members grow more confident futures with their values in mind, a community that's doing better together.